All right. Am I up? All right. It looks like we're coming up live right there. Everything's dragging slow. We'll give it 30 seconds here. Hmm. Mm, 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 mm. It's really running slow. All right, we're going to get started. Just catch up when it catch up. All right, here we go. Hey, everybody, welcome to Off the Bench Magazine Spotlight. I am Mark Wiggins, CEO, editor in chief of Off the Bench Magazine, amongst other things. And as we continue our series of bringing on people who are contributing to the magazine, we're going to continue to feature and highlight our contributing writers. These are the people who are writing on a monthly, bi-monthly basis on topics in their areas. They are the subject matter experts in these fields, and we're going to bring them on so you can hear more from them about certain topics. And again, the June issue is out. Make sure you have subscribed to the magazine. If you have not subscribed to the magazine, you can definitely go to Off the Bench Magazine .com. There it is coming across the bottom of the screen. Offthebenchmagazine.com. Subscribe today so you don't miss another issue. A lot of stuff going on in the June. We're talking about King Get Your Crown. We are having crown discussions, king discussions, talking about doing king stuff. Definitely read up on the magazine. You'll hear more about that later this month as I bring on a panel of men to discuss men's issues, and not just relationship stuff, but we're talking about mental health. We're talking about finances. We're talking about relationship stuff with our children, business, entrepreneurism, investing, Bitcoin, as it pertains to the men's perspective. The whole concept around King Get Your Crown has to do with the thought I had a while ago. I mentioned this at the Off the Bench Live, but it was usually two people in the conversation. They always talking about, Queen, fix your crown. Get your crown, Queen. Get your crown. I'm like, there's two people that got crowns. Where the king at? Where the king at? So I was like, you know what? Let's have a discussion about men and their crown. And I'm not trying to fix a man's crown at this point. What I'm saying is a reminder to men that we actually have a crown. And I need you to go back and get it. I need you to come back and be ready to take over and run and control your kingdom and your domain. And that is where everywhere you show up is your domain, in your relationships, in your children's lives, in your business, in your at your job, wherever you show up, that's your kingdom. And they need you. Our community needs us as men to stand back up and to handle our business. It doesn't matter where you are in this situation, where what you're coming from, what you're starting with. We need you to start right now. Begin where you are, as I always say. But anyway, we're going to have encouraging conversations on this topic, and I got some great guests coming down the road. So with that being said, let's move into tonight's discussion. I have with us Dr. Delice Coffey. She is a beast, y'all. Let me tell you something. Delice has been riding with the chapter in a magazine since day one. She is a client of mine. She came to me early on during COVID to help with her message. And y'all, she was one of the toughest clients I had. And she came at me. She was like, I need to know more. I need to do this, and I'm not going to do this. And can I get on the platform more than once? And Dr. Coffey, I always give you credit because when the idea came up about the magazine, I had you in mind. Your question was, will I only get to share your platform one time? And I was like, absolutely not. You get it as many times as wherever. So we made this whole magazine just for you. That's what we did. We made it just for you. That being the case, I kid because Dr. Coffey is definitely a beast in her arena, and she is a sports psychologist. And all that's been going on in the media with mental health and athletes and them coming out and talking about they're dealing with depression or they're dealing with these issues in mental health and mental wellness. And we saw Naomi Osaka, I kept saying that right, pull the trigger. She sounded the alarm, punched the buzzer, pulled the eject button, And everything's fine. What's on my computer here? Pull the eject button and said, I'm not doing this. I'm just not going to do it. And the ripple effect of that, it shocked the whole world. It shocked tennis world. It shocked and for me, Dr. Coffey, it was all the decorum and the pageantry of tennis, and it got blown up because an athlete said, I have an issue, and they seem to want to ignore it, or like, yo, you got this contract and, you got to sign it and whatever. Now, I stand by, I get it. You did sign the contract. You did. But this wasn't the first time they heard about her issue. This wasn't the first time. I don't think it was a shock. I know she had probably mentioned it before, her group or whatever, and they chose to tape it up and get out there. So anyway, I'm about to jump in our whole conversation, but I don't do bios. Dr. Coffey, please let the audience know who you are and what you do.
First, thanks for having me, Mark. And I must start off by saying all of those things he said were true, but I said it in a very soft and nice way. It was very polite. And whenever you're trying to level up, you want to surround yourself with people who are already doing big things. And I had followed Mark for a while. He's doing some great things, and I knew I could learn from him. So I was a good student, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I am a psychologist and a mental game coach. And I'm formally trained in sports psychology and clinical psychology. And as a sports psychologist, I work on the mental skills to help athletes enhance their performance and elevate their game. And as a clinical psychologist, I work with the mental health issues, because athletes and the general population, they have mental health issues just like everyone else. And what happens is people still have a little stigma around mental health, but mental health is basically self-care. If you're at a point where you're doing good, mental health is self-care.
And that's the part where you come in, and your background is very very broad and very unique. When we first met, we talked about you. Y'all wouldn't believe she about 4'2", but was a power lifter, fitness model, and all that kind of good stuff. And the mindset that it took and that it takes to do that. Dr. Coffey, talk to him just right quick about that whole journey you took to become the sports psychologist you are right now. What was your background?
My background was in bodybuilding. I started out wanting to be a professional bodybuilder, and I competed in several competitions. And on the local level, I did well. I won first place. And then I went up to the state level, and I got fourth place there. But I had a hard time getting that overall, and then getting first place in the competitions that really mattered, leading to my pro card. So after going back and forth, and what we concluded was it was my diet. My diet was getting in the way of me succeeding. When I was training, we had to go through a 12-week diet, which was extremely bland, extremely strict. Now it's different. Now bodybuilding, just like basketball, football, tennis, it's a lifestyle if you want to be an elite athlete. But when I was training, it was a little different. So to go on that diet for 12 weeks, it was difficult for me, and I broke it. And every time I would break the diet, it would lessen my chance of winning an overall. So after not winning an overall a few times, I got a little discouraged. My self-esteem and confidence was just kind of shaky a little bit. And I started wondering if I could really make it as a bodybuilder, as a professional bodybuilder. So like most people, I, took a visit to the valley and I sat there for a little while, just doing nothing pretty much. And after doing nothing for so long, that wasn't helping. So I just decided to, hey, you love the gym, just get back in the gym, just keep your mind sharp, keep your body in the best shape that you can possibly be in. So while in the gym, a powerlifting girl came up to me and she said, you ought to power lift. I was not thinking about powerlifting. I was not thinking about bodybuilding. I was just trying to keep my mind sharp. I was just trying to keep from having any significant issues, because when you're not competing on the level that you want to compete on, if you don't keep active, you will slip into depression. And since I knew that, I was being proactive to keep myself mentally strong and keep myself mentally healthy. So I was in the gym working out, and she didn't know my story. She didn't know too much about me. So I wasn't about to tell her I was having a bad day or a bad week. So I said, okay, I'll power lift. And I had no idea what I was getting into, because here again, my trainer was in bodybuilding, and I knew the lifts were pretty much the same. And I knew It couldn't be too different, just lift a lot of weight. That's what I thought, right? So I was training with her and we trained for a while. And what I realized was it was more the form and the technique that helps you lift the weight. So although when I started, I was just lifting weight, once I got the technique and the form down, that's when I was able to lift a lot of weight. So that's when I realized, okay, if I focus on the form and the technique, I could probably do well in powerlifting. So that was kind of my game plan. I was just going to win by lifting the weight with my mind because I wasn't sure if I was the strongest woman out there, but I knew I could focus because even before I got into powerlifting as a bodybuilder, I was always focused and I always trained hard and my work ethics, it was just off the chart. So I knew if I could focus and I knew if I could get my confidence back, I knew I could win. So I went in there, I had this laser-like focus, and then my confidence, I was just kind of telling myself, I can do it. I know I can do it. I want to win. I got this. All of those self-talk, and that stuff is real. It really helps keeping those positive affirmations coming. So I went to the first competition, and it was a local competition because when you start, you start where you're comfortable. So I went to a local competition and blew it out the water. So I'm like, I can do this for real. So I got excited. So, you have those little wins. And that's what I teach. It be confidence. All to this competition, I won it. Oh, that did a lot for my confidence. I was like, oh, yes, I got this. So long story short, after and the world record in powerlifting. So I did all of that just because it was kind of done because I just felt that was the right thing to do. And it was natural because I just bring anything I want you to life. So as I got older or as I got into college, I just started searching things and then just started reading and I stumbled across Mental Game Coach. And I'm like, wow, this sounds really good. So I started reading on that. And that's when I realized this is really a science. You can actually teach people to focus. You can actually give people strategies and tools to build their confidence, to maintain composure, to be fearless. And I got so excited. I read everything on mental game coaching. And then I got certified. That's just how excited I was because I'm like, oh, wow, I'm going to start teaching this because I know it worked because I did it before I knew what I was doing. So now that I'm formally trained, I have the experience. And now I have the knowledge, and now I can really help athletes excel. So I did that for a while with my certification, and it was just great. A lot of athletes succeed under my teaching, and I got excited again and went back and got a doctorate degree in sports psychology because I'm like, I know it's more to learn. And the more that I learn and the better that I get, I know I can help my clients and my athletes even more. So that's my journey. It was just exciting to actually go through that phase where I was actually competing. And now I'm so excited just to share that I learned, share.
All right. Okay, you're dragging a little bit there. Okay, good. All right, that's again, I hope everybody got the gist of your amazing journey. And again, I've talked to a lot of athletes and never heard anyone talk about becoming a power lifter and a fitness bodybuilder and running that rank and then holding titles and then coming through. So the passion that you show exudes in your energy about sports and mindset and focus and your organization. Before we move into let's move over let's talk about your thoughts on what happened in the world of women's tennis. What do you feel about it? What do you see going on? And I guess the third thing is, what needs to be done about it?
Good for you, because you must understand I'm a psychologist. You must take care of yourself. And then after hearing all the conversation around and after it became such a big deal, I'm like, what's a big deal? She's trying to take care of herself. the comments people were saying that some of the thoughts that was going on.
Dr.
It
Coffey,
really didn't
hold
change.
on. You're dragging a little bit. You're dragging. And you're about to say something real important there. So it was breaking up. I go. Uh-oh.
Okay.
There?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes. Okay. Go ahead.
Yes. Yes. So then I just kind of started slowing down and reflecting to see, why is this such a big deal? And then when I started reading about and then what she did, and then I remember saying, I think it was 2008, that she was having issues with depression.
Mm-hmm.
And then if she was having issues with depression in 2008, that means she's either still or maintain, so not being you for her. So if she have developed strategies and tools to maintain her depression was not a problem, that's when it crosses over to self-care. You understand and you know where your buttons are. You understand and you know where your triggers are. So if you know where your triggers are, it is important not to do anything that will set you on course to regress. And that's what I see. If she's been struggling with this for a while and she's working with a psychologist or a therapist, she knows what's going to trigger her. And if she knows something is going to trigger her, it is in her best interest to back away. One of the things we don't realize is we're expecting them to perform for us. We're expecting them to give us this great performance because they signed this contract, because it's their obligation. I get that. And that's true. However, if they're having mental health issues, they cannot perform like we're expecting them to perform. So if you force someone to go out there when they're struggling with mental health issues, they're not going to get performance to us. They're not going to give us the show to know that they can hear us. And then another conversation. Oh, she was off her geese tonight. Oh, she didn't do well. And then some may go as far, I paid all this money to see her and she didn't give me a good show. So understand, in order for an athlete to give their performance, their cup to be full. In order for their cup to be filled up, they must go into self-care. Anything or any issue that they're having, it's important for them to be preventative and protecting that so they can have mental health issues. So the position that she took, I thought it was a very good position for her. I mean, she's 20 something, if I'm not mistaken, 22, 23. That's very young. That's very young to recognize that level of care. And if we want to see her do well, if we want to see her or any athlete have longevity in their sport, they must put their mental health first.
Yes, you hit a lot of great points about what needs to happen for protecting the mental health, and again, I think your whole culture of psychologists and therapists were standing up on chairs saying, "Woo, thank goodness, good for you." Pull out. It's if it's about the money, you can have it back. We're going to fine you $15,000. I think what really kind of just sent me over the edge a little bit was the audacity of other organizations who tournaments she ain't even got to yet. Yeah, we're gonna find her too. We're gonna find, like, they are already plotting against her. It's like it's a setup. So withdraw. she don't. Let's be clear. Financially, I'm probably sure she's decently well off. So she got the shoot contract, whatever. You all need her. She doesn't necessarily need you to make this money. And I think the other thing that was really disappointing to me was that the leaders and organizers of the women's tennis are legends, and all the things that they had to go through and fight, and this is how you treat another sister. Again, from my reading of it, I could be dead wrong, but my interpretation was y'all acted just like some dudes, and I don't mean that any other way than what I just said. You were worried about the money and the business or whatever, and you didn't particularly care, and y'all get out there and play, when the response should have been, okay, we got these rules, but let's get y'all some help. What does she need from us at this moment? You know what I'm saying? I got to find you because you didn't post. However, we're going to, you come back when you're ready. What can we do to help? That would have keep kept tennis having a decent look. I'm like, look at tennis be different. Look at them be not like the football league. Look at them not like be back basketball. But you just made yourself like every other league in the world. Perform because we paid you, do this thing like we told you. And, from being Black athlete, that kind of has a different ring to it, if you know what I mean. So let's move it down a notch. And you deal with athletes all up and down the scale. It's not just youth athletes, but we're going to talk about youth athletes. What's your recommendation to the parent out here who believes their child is the next Naomi and the next Tiger and everybody else out here? How do you recommend them to help their child and protect their child?
Right. I work with athletes from a holistic perspective. My way of working with athletes is developing them as a person first. So it's a holistic approach to well-being, a holistic approach to player development. So by me coming from that angle, in order for you to give me your best, you must be your best. And in order for you to be your best, you must be mentally strong and mentally tough. And in order for you to be mentally tough, I must get you mentally strong first. So you cannot separate the two. If you really think about it and you're really interested in developing a player to the next level, you cannot separate mental health and performance. Because like I said earlier, if you want to perform well, you must be mentally sharp. An example is if you have the flu, I'm not talking about Michael Jordan, I'm talking about the rest of us. If you have the flu, you cannot perform well. So first you're going to take medicine or take your herbs or do whatever you need to do to get over the flu so you can be ready for the next game. It's no different with mental health. If you have an anxiety attacks or just severe anxiety, if you're depressed, if you're stressed out, you cannot perform well. You cannot perform well. So you must take care of those things first. You must take care of whatever's causing you to be depressed, whatever's causing you to be stressed, whatever's causing you to get anxiety, so you can give us your best performance. So I would tell parents, don't push them in one direction. Push them in all directions, 360. You want to make sure that they're healthy, happy, and whole, and then they can perform well. Because if you push the performance, get out there, practice, shoot, do drills, that's going to cause burnout. Burnout is going to cause them to be frustrated. They get frustrated, they're going to get depressed. It's a cycle. If you don't focus on the mental health first. So parents, take a holistic approach to your child's well-being, especially if they are an elite potential player. Because what happens there is they're so good naturally, we overlooked all of those things. And most elite athletes suffer in silence. And the young kids, they will suffer either in their room alone with their games, doing things that they probably shouldn't be doing, or they're talking to their peers who do not know how to help them. So be aware that if you have a young child that's an elite athlete, just be more mindful, be more in tune of what they may be going through, because they would not just come out and say, "Mom, I'm depressed." Trust me, they would not do that. You want to be able to pick up on the signs and just be more proactive in helping them move to the next level.
That's some great advice, because like I said, I'm sure you see all the gamut of, you got the parent thinking that the next one, and the kids are like, I'm done with this and I'm only doing it because I got to. And it does lead to those burnout levels. And I think the long-term adverse effect, if we don't think about it, is when they grow up, right? So now how coping skills are off, sense of competition may be off, or there's no competition at all. There's no boundaries and no balance. There's no healthy way to approach it. Yes, compete and be fierce. Yes, go for it. All that, but there is that balance piece, and I've seen it, and it's just sad that the parents are pushing that way. How do you recommend to parents, or what would your thoughts be to help parents not to do those things, but to trend toward raising a healthy competitive athlete?
Be mindful of your child. You know your child better than anyone, and you can recognize when their behavior and when their mood is changing. So you want to be in tune with the small changes. For example, if they got excited about going to practice and then they're carrying a basketball everywhere they go, then all of a sudden they haven't touched the basketball in 2 or 3 days, and every time it's time to go to practice, they're dragging. So changes like that, that's telling you something. So what I would like for parents to do is to be mindful of the changes, because as I said earlier, they're not going to just come out and tell you. And then in some cases, they don't know what's going on. They just know something feels off, and they don't know what this off feeling is. But if the parent can catch it early, that will help them in a good way. And then it's even their eating patterns. If you notice that now they're eating more, or they're eating less, or just not eating at all, that's an indication that something has changed. If you notice that they're not dressing like they used to dress, they used to make sure that they were just looking neat and just had on nice clothes and really looking good when they go to school. Now they're just throwing on a t-shirt and tennis shoes and jeans every day. When that wasn't an everyday thing, it was just kind of a once in a while. But when they had the t-shirt and tennis shoes on, they were looking good. But now it's just not so good. Those are indications. Those are things that's telling you something is changing. Now, some parents, they're in tune enough to know that this change might be this, that, or the other thing. And then some parents may not know what that change is. And if you don't know what that change is, that's when you reach out for help. That's when you reach out to a psychologist or a therapist, because they know what that might be. And another thing, the children are more likely to talk to a third person neutral than they are their parents, because they know what their parents are thinking. So they think, children think they can read minds. So they're thinking that you want them to be perfect. They're thinking you want them to play. You want them to do this. You want them to do that. So if they tell you that they don't want to do it, they're going to feel like they're letting you down. Another layer of mental health issue. So if you can pick up on the signs and then try to correct them in a loving way to see what they want to do, that will help them not to go in these depressive moods or these depressive modes. And then, like I said, if you can't figure it out or get them back on track, reach out for help. When you reach out for help, that's a sign of strength. It's not a sign of weakness. It doesn't mean that your household is broken. It means that you were smart enough to get your child help before it became an issue.
That's some good stuff right there. And I think a lot of the stigma behind it has to come from the parent. I mean, you're watching over these children. They don't know no better. They're looking to us, the parent, right, to make the choice. Dr. Coffey, is there a distinction between sports psychologist versus just a psychologist? If I were taking my kid and he was an athlete, would I need to go just to any psychologist, or would a sports psychologist be better?
There is a difference between a sports psychologist and a clinical psychologist. And that's why I get so excited, because I have married the two. I do sports and clinical. In clinical psychology, you're working more with clinical issues like the depression, the stress, the anxiety, the bipolar, the schizophrenia, all of those type of disorders. In a sports psychology, they're working more with performance skills. They're teaching you mental skills to help you elevate your game. They're teaching you like how to build your confidence, how to focus like a champion, how to maintain composure, how to get over the fear of failure. So that's what a sports psychologist does. And what I've learned since I'm trained in both, it's difficult for me to do sports psychology if they have clinical issues. So here again, it goes back to I have to work on the clinical issues first.
Wow, that what you said last was pretty heavy. The clinical issues first, and we may not see them as clinical issues. You think them as, oh, they're afraid to be of the crowd, but it may be something else there. So that is awesome. I know you do a lot of work with the local teams, the professional teams. How are you engaging? Are you engaged with these sports teams and with these programs?
Right now, I'm still virtual. I have a couple of things coming up in the next few months where I will actually go to a game. I have a girl that's coming actually from Waxhaw, where my brother is. My brother is an AAU coach, and he's bringing a girl up to Durham, where I live, to join a showcase team for one of the coaches or one of the schools that I work with. So
Okay.
I'll probably venture out and see what I can do for her. But right now, everything I'm doing is virtual, and it's getting better. Of course, about March, April 2020, it was really tough trying to maintain the athletes because they were thinking, okay, I'm not practicing. There's no need of talking to Dr. Coffey. I'm not doing anything. Oh my goodness, that about tore me apart because it's
Mm-hmm.
like this is the best time to do mental rehearsal. This is the best time to practice in your mind because mental rehearsal is just as effective as physical play. So I was working overtime just trying to get them on Zoom calls because here again, this was new to everyone. So
Right.
now is getting better. They're kind of embracing the Zoom conversations and they're showing up more. So I'm still doing that. And pretty much, like I said, in a couple of months, I'll probably be doing more of both. I can't see going totally offline because I'm online so much. And then I have a lot of students that are out of state, which we were already used to
Mm-hmm.
doing it online. So now that my local people are doing it online, they just have a choice. And then when they have practice or games, then I'll go to the facility where they are.
Nice. Now, what did you find? How did let me rephrase the question? I did a keynote speak for City College in New York, SUNY. Just recently, they had a sports banquet, and at the end of the year thing, of course, it's all virtual. I'm here cutting the video, and one of the things that the AD told me was, "Hey, you know what? Can you drop a message of encouragement to the seniors who lost the whole season?"
Mhm.
And the administration had a position of, "Well, you got an education." That kind of hurt me to hear, like, you just totally dismissed my whole lifestyle just because I got my education. What were you finding with the kids that didn't get their season, that ended prematurely, the seniors, you know what I'm saying? They got nothing
Mhm.
and had to move forward. Did you have to deal with those students, and what did you find dealing with those students?
Yeah. I had a couple, and it was really tough. And actually, it was tough for me because it wasn't a whole lot I could do.
Mm,
And, they were disappointed, they were sad. And then some of them had the opportunity to walk on the team. So that was really good. So if that opportunity was there, I tried to switch the focus. Hey, you can still be a good player on this team. You have to work a little harder, practice a little longer, just do things on an elevated level so you can be seen by the coach on the team that you're on now, and you can probably still get some good play. So I had to kind of switch it up a little bit and tell them that they still have the opportunity to play. They're just going to enter into the playing arena a different kind of way. And then if not this year, next year, don't stop practicing, don't stop training, don't stop anything. Practice as if you are on a team because you can still play or you can still make a team the next year. But it was very disappointing for the
mhm,
athletes and disappointing for me. Life happened. We couldn't do anything. And just to make the best out of what we could do, the ones that could not just walk on the team, keep training. Keep training. I love using Michael Jordan as an example because he didn't make his high school team. He wasn't in a pandemic, but it was a situation where he tried out 1 year and he didn't make it. He kept training, he kept practicing, then he made it the next year, and look at him now. So that's
mhm.
kind of what I was sharing with them. Just don't stop practicing. Don't stop believing that you can do what it is that you want to do.
Yeah, that's kind of the tack I took, especially with the returnings and those leaving. And my message to them were, you basically have an unfair advantage as an athlete. You have an unfair advantage. You have a skill set that you've developed. You've got emotions. You've got things, and you've been through some stuff. There are a lot of people out there who've not been able to process getting ready for the next play or overcoming adversity. This is probably your biggest test. So while it stinks that you couldn't walk off as a senior and the seventh man didn't get to start the game, that kind of thing, you still walk out of here with a life lesson, and you
Right.
still are able to compete probably better than a lot of people in this time frame. And I said the same thing to the returning underclassmen, is what you just said, is like, listen, you should have been working twice as hard. You should have been
Hmm.
doubling down. There was nothing holding you back. There was nothing to do. You know, I got my phone and I'm practicing at the same time.
Right.
Whatever. You should have been going hard. Not, oh no, what you just don't, because you don't know. And the last thing I said to them, this should just reinforce to you why you should go hard every single day,
Every
because you
day.
don't know when the last day
Every
will
day.
be. And unfortunately for those seniors, the last time that they played was the last time that they played.
Hmm.
So it's just it was just tough. Dr. Coffey, we have to wrap this down, but share with the audience. You have some programming and how people can contact you if they want to have the athlete come work with you on some mindset and other issues. Talk about your program and then how to get in touch with you.
I have an online course called Elevate Your Game Now, and that's exactly how it's structured. So you can elevate your game now. And you can get that at dcoffeymentaltrainingu.com. And then my website is mindsetsportspsychology.com. And you can access all of the information there. So the online course is there, and it's teaching you some mental skills. And what I realized through my training as a power lifter and breaking the world record, and then my education through sports psychology, there was 3 things that I kind of mastered that helped me to get there. And it was imagery, setting goals, and a pregame routine. So there's about 15 mental skills that I teach my athletes, but who's going to do an online course with 15 mental skills? It'll take you hours, okay? We're in a world where we want everything quick and fast. That's why it's called Elevate Your Game Now. So I just picked those 3 out of 15. And if you can master those 3, you can really enhance your performance. And that's my online course.
What were the 3 again? What were the 3 again?
Imagery, goal setting, and a pregame routine.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So if you master those, that is a rock solid foundation for you to succeed in your sport. And I also do one-on-one coaching, and you can also access me one-on-one coaching through my website as well, or you could email me at drdcoffey@gmail.com. That's dr.dcoffey@gmail.com if you want to do some one-on-one training.
That's what's up. Dr. Coffey, I appreciate you coming on. Thank you for your contribution to Off the Bench magazine. We look forward to your continual writing. For those of you out there who have athletes, again, running the gamut from Little League all the way up to college pro, read Dr. Coffey's article. She's got some great information on there. You can get our magazine at offthebenchmagazine.com. Subscribe now. She definitely has something to say in the June issue. She's also in our motivational issue, the I Am, I Can, I Will issue, which is a free one. So if you have not received your copy of the free one, hit me up in the DMs in the message box or tweet me, post me, and I'll get you your copy so you can, your digital copy, so you can read from other contributors and especially Dr. Coffey. Dr. Coffey, thank you for coming on. I'm going to drop you back out and we'll talk to you later.
All right. Thanks so much for having me, Mark.
All right, there you have it, Dr. Coffey. She is a powerhouse, y'all. I just love having it on. So we'll continue to have more of these off the bench spotlights where we bring on our contributing authors. And for those people out there who are looking for a platform to get your message out, if you feel like you want to expand your message and your market, and traditional ways are okay. There's nothing wrong with posting, running ads, and all that kind of stuff. But there's something about having it in a magazine. There's something about seeing it in writing. It's something about being a SME, a subject matter expert. That's where you want to get into the magazine. If you are looking to get your message out, your product, your service, come to come to Death Row. Come to Death Row for those who know. But come to Off the Bench magazine. We have a lot of stuff going on, and the magazine is definitely growing. We have space for you and your message. And if you need some help getting your message together, let me know, right? Because I'm going to teach you how to tell your story so you can sell your story. And your story is your service, your product, or your platform. And this is a great way to do it. Off the Bench is definitely moving up. Make sure you follow us on we're my IG at OTB Magazine. You can definitely follow us here on Facebook or on YouTube at OTB Magazine. And definitely hit us up inside the magazine. Make sure you register for that. We have a lot of stuff coming up. Again, we will have our King's Conversations before the end of this month. And also, we need to have our mid-year word of the year discussion. I forgot to ask Dr. Coffey what her word of the year is. Let me see. You still out there, Dr. Coffey, and bring you back in.
I'm still here.
Did you have a word of the year, Dr. Coffey?
My word for this year was serenity. And I just want to surrender everything that was not serving me well. I want to surrender everything that's not moving me forward into the best version of myself. So my word was surrender.
All right. Okay. There. See, that smoothness right there. Go ahead, doctor. So anyways, that was her word of the year. My word is until. So we'll definitely have that conversation at a different time. So anyway, that's all I have for right now. Again, thank you for coming on. And thank you for supporting the magazine and all that we do. And as always, if you can reach your dreams with a step ladder, then they're probably too low. I'm out.